Hello everyone, Miss Carrie here from Miss Carrie's Creations. Today's project is a wonderful masculine scrapbook layout with an autumn theme. In this tutorial, I'll share a unique way to use a wreath cut file on a fun fall layout and share some new techniques with you that you can use on your future projects. I'm working with the November Rain Limitless kit from Not Just for Boys Kit Club. This is an amazing collection filled with autumn hues and rustic patterns from Paper Rose, 49 in Market, and Simple Stories. This collection also includes journaling ephemera, a Paper Rose stencil, pink fresh puffy alpha stickers, and shimmer spritz. I'm also going to bring in one of the new cardstock cuts. This fall wreath is going to be a great addition to my layout. As I create the page, I'll bring in a few additional supplies. I'll list those in the description below, along with a link to this kit. This picture shows two of our boys playing in the leaves over 20 years ago. I haven't recorded this memory yet, and I knew that this kit would go really well with the photo. I'm going to use the back of the Paper Rose blueprints for my background because it brings out the leaves near the boys. The photo is going to be backed with the blue plaid pattern to bring focus to the boys. This month's challenge in the Not Just for Boys Facebook group is to try something new. So I'm not going to back this or use it as is. Instead, I'm going to place part of this at the top and part of it at the bottom of the page, then layer some items over the wreath. The hardest part about laying out this little wreath was figuring out how to end it evenly on the edges of my paper while still leaving space on the other side. I trimmed 3/4 off of either side of the background paper to make room for a frame, which did require me to reduce the size of the wreath. I removed about 3 inches and trimmed it so that I had complete icons on the edges. The kit includes these acorn lane 3x4 elements, and I want to fussy cut these florals for the page. I'm also going to bring in a few leaves that will be cut out of the colors in this little adventure paper, and I'll be using dies in my collection. Off camera, I adhered 2 strips of the acorn lane pattern paper to the sides. I backed my photo with the Paper Rose charcoal color before laying it on the plaid. Behind the photo, I have a little pocket for this journaling tag. To finish off the edges, I have gone ahead and cut the product strip from my background pattern in half, and I'm going to glue this along the edges. I plan on adding some stitching to this, which is why I'm using liquid adhesive. You never want to run a sewing machine through a tape runner or double-sided tape. This can gum up the inner workings of your machine. To decorate the page, I'm going to add those floral icons I cut out from those 3x4 Simple Stories cards. To create some weight around the photo, I'm going to add the pumpkins off to the side here. The large floral piece is going to sit on the opposite side of the page at the top to create a diagonal flow. To bring even more weight around the photo, I'm adding these 2 frames on the left side. When I add embellishments, I like to repeat elements to bring balance to the page. I'm going to cut these frames in half because I want to place the same layers at the top near the florals. I'm also making sure that the frames are touching other elements on the page so that they don't look like they're just floating out there. I'm going to bring in this little golden yellow phrase and a tag. This phrase says autumn leaves in a gold print. The yellow hue matches the yellow in the plaid pattern behind the photo, and the gold lettering matches the gold on the tag and in the frames. Earlier I mentioned that I wanted to add some leaves. I'm laying these leaves throughout my page on that fall wreath cardstock cut. I'm also going to tuck some around the pumpkins and the flowers I added. Adding random clusters to a page can quickly begin to feel overwhelming. I often struggle with the question of how much is too much. Remember how I said earlier that I like to have objects touching one another? On this page, it was a little difficult to do because I'm creating 5 different clusters on the page. The florals and the leaves at the top are connected to the patterns on the side, but that cluster in the middle is currently floating on the page. To bring a little connectivity to that cluster, I made it look like it was layered over the tag. I need to bring more weight around that photo to help it really stand out, so I'm going to add some more leaves and another square element. I'm also adding more layers to the pumpkins with those small flowers that I fussy cut from the 3x4 card. These layers add even more weight to this area. While I continue to add leaves to the page, I would love it if you tap that subscribe button and let me know that you're new here. If you're already a subscriber, let me know that you enjoyed today's project by tapping the thumbs up icon or leaving a comment below. I have filled those 5 clusters with florals and leaves, and each one is pretty well balanced with shapes and colors. I need to bring in another element that matches that journal tag, so I'm adding this little heart here, and I really like the way it looks. In every cluster, I brought in a lot of that dark blue. I use this because the boys are in blue. Now, I didn't add any to this top corner because I wanted to bring in this blue banner that says I love fall. This completes the space, balances out all of the embellishment clusters, and adds a larger title to the page. All right, I'm going to add a few more elements to this layout, and then I'll share the finished page with you. Off camera, I added that stitching down the sides. I chose a golden brown thread to match the background paper. I also added some chocolate pearls to my layout. These can be found in the Not Just for Boys shop, and they're a great match to this kit. The challenge today was to try something new, so I decided to use a cardstock cut in a new way. Normally, I back these with pattern paper or use them in their entirety, but I chose to cut it in half and use it as a background element. I like how this layout has a great masculine feel, even with that little bit of floral. All those autumn elements play so well together, and I love how it turned out. If you're one who enjoys pinning photos to inspiration boards, I have added still shots of this layout on the Not Just for Boys Kit Club blog and on my website for you to use. I want to thank you for joining me for another scrapbook project. If you have any questions about the project or the supplies listed below, feel free to post that in the comments. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I can't wait to see what you create.